So when we have to write something in standard form, what that means is you need to have it to where x and y are on a side by themselves. So in other words, on this one, we have the problem of this x being on the wrong side. And you can't have any fractions. So the basic format is ax plus by equals c. And a, b, and c have to be non-fractions or decimals. So in other words, they need to be integer values. A must also be positive. So we move the negative 2/3 to the other side, and it becomes a positive 2/3 x plus y is equal to 3, because when we moved it across the equal sign, the sign changes. So now we have to multiply everything by a negative 3, or by a negative 3, by a 3, to get it to distribute through to all three pieces. So 2/3 times 3 is just 2. 3 times x, or 3 times y is 3y, and 3 times 3 is 9. Same idea happens over here, but we need to multiply it by the LCD of the denominator. So in other words, what number can both of these divide into? Or in other words, what number are both of those a factor of? Well, 4 is a factor of 8, so their LCD is 8. So that means I am going to take 8 and multiply it times each part. So 5/8 x times 8. 3/4 y times 8. And -1 times 8. Don't forget to do this side as well. A lot of times people forget to do that side. And so when I multiply this, remember that's 8/1, so the 8's cancel. So 1 times 5 is 5x. 8 and the 4 cancel, giving us just a 2 up here, so 2 times 3 gives us 6y is equal to -8. No more fractions, and my a is positive. So both of those are in standard form. So standard form, again, x and y are on the same side. It's set up like you want to have it for elimination, where x and y are on the same side and no fractions. So now let's look at using slope-intercept form to help us graph. So when we're looking at slope-intercept form, just so we can remember what it is, y equals mx plus b. That means you're solving it for y. So when I look at this first equation, the 4x is on the wrong side, so I need to move it over, and when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes the opposite sign, so it needs to become negative. So -5y is equal to -4x minus 10. Now I'm going to divide everything by what's in front of my y, so -5. Notice how there's no y there in the denominator when I'm doing this. It's just the -5 I'm dividing by. And so those cancel out, and I end up with just a y on this side. -4/5 divided by -5 gives me a positive 4/5. -10 divided by -5 gives me a positive 2. So now let's come to graphing it. So my y-intercept is at 0, 2. So that means it's crossing the y-axis at 2. My slope is 4/5. So that means I need to rise 4, right 5. Or I can also fall 4, left 5. As long as we switch both signs, so if I'm rising to go the opposite direction, I would need to fall. I'm going right to go the opposite direction, I would need to go left. So let's drop 4, rise 4, go right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can drop 4, go left 5. And then I can draw my line. These, when you have an equation, are always going to be a solid line and there will be no shading. So that's our answer. On 14, we need to trade both of these. And so when the y moves over to the other side, it becomes a negative 4y. When the x moves over to the other side, it becomes a negative 12x minus 28. Next step is going to be to get the y by itself. So divide by negative 4. And so y is equal to negative 12 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3x plus 7. So that means my y-intercept is 0, 7. So that's going to be up here. And then I am going to drop. I need to go with my slope. And so my slope says rise 3, right 1. But I don't have room to rise 3, right 1. So that means I need to go the opposite. So that means I need to, instead of rise, I need to fall. Instead of right, I need to go left. So down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. And then I'm going to connect that with a line. And so that would be my line. So remember, parallel is when they have the same slope. Perpendicular means negative reciprocal. So if it's 1/2, the negative reciprocal will be negative 2 over 1. If it's 2/3, the negative reciprocal is going to be negative 3/2. So before we can do any of this, we need to find our slope. And so when you have an equation, the best way to find slope is to solve for y. So that means I need to get the 9x to the other side. So 6y is equal to a negative 9x, is when it crosses the equal sign, it changes sign, minus 6. I'm going to divide everything by 6. And so y is equal to negative 9 divided by 6 gives me a negative 3/2 x minus 1. And so if I'm looking for parallel, that means it needs to have the same slope. So I'm going to use the negative 3/2 x. What number I put out here is up to you. This would work, or you could do like a +1, you could do a +2, you could do a -5. Any number you chose out here would be okay, as long as it was not a -1. On your test, you'll have a question that's a multiple choice for this. So you just have to identify which one's the right one for parallel, which one's the right one for perpendicular. So now let's do perpendicular. So when we're looking at perpendicular slope, it needs to flip it and change its sign. So if it was negative, it's going to become positive 2/3. So y is equal to 2/3 x. Again, any number I want to write out here, I can. So +7. Or I could just stop at that 2/3 x. So when we look at the next problem, y equals -5 mean that when I graph it, it is going to be a horizontal line. So I'm going left and right down there, y equals -5. So if I want to have a parallel line, I need another line that's going left and right. So the line up here like this would be going left and right. So that could be like y equals 3. Honestly, any number you choose besides -5 you can use. It just needs to be for parallel. These will need to, so I lost my pen. These have to match. And for perpendicular, they need to be different. So it needs to be x equals, and then you can choose any number of your choice, -7. So when it's parallel, the numbers are going to match, the letters are going to match, the numbers will not. When it's perpendicular, the letters don't match when it's a vertical or horizontal. So this next one asks us to find x and y intercepts. So let's start with finding x-intercept. Go ahead and scoot this down so you can have that more centered. So when I find the x-intercept, that means that, so I'm crossing the x, that means y is equal to 0. So 0 equals -5x minus 3. I would move the -3 to the opposite side by adding 3. Divide both sides by -5. And so my x-intercept is -3/5. So when I write that as an ordered pair, -3/5, comma, 0. So now let's find our y-intercept. Is going to be when x equals 0. So y is equal to -5 times 0 minus 3. So y equals -3. So that gives us an ordered pair of 0, -3. Now I just take that and draw my line through it. We're going to do it again. This other way. We want to find my x-intercept. And so that means y equals 0. So 4 times 0 is equal to 10x minus 24. And so that's gone. I want to add the 24 to both sides. So 10x is equal to 24. Divide both sides by 10. And we come up with 12/5 is equal to x. So my ordered pair is 12/5, comma 0. So 12/5 is 2 and 2/5, so about right there. So let's now do the y-intercept. So in this case, x equals 0. And so 4y is equal to 10 times 0 minus 24. So 4y is equal to -24. Y is equal to -6. So my ordered pair will be 0, -6. And so my line would do this. Go up as it goes to left. We're just connecting those two dots. That is the end of topic 2 notes. The next set will be for topic 3.